Hello everyone, it's Ellen, and today in my journal I am showing how I incorporate Theo's artwork. So we do a lot of arts and crafts at home, as you can imagine. I'm very crafty, so I try and encourage that with Theo as much as possible. And I've ended up with loads of pieces of paper, like the ones that you can see on my screen now, that Theo's painted. And I cannot bring myself to throw any of it away. It just feels too bad to throw any of it away. So when we create really special things, I keep them all in a book for him. But with these pieces of paper, in a few years, they're not going to mean anything. I mean, they don't mean anything now. He's done a lovely bit of painting for me, but you know, he hasn't drawn an image. He's just chucked some paint on some paper, and as much as I love it and want to include it in my journal, I don't want my journal just full of these sheets. So I thought in this video I would try and come up with some different ways of incorporating them into my journal without taking up loads of space, and yeah, just finding different ways to use them out of the ordinary. So rather than just sticking them on my page for me to look at, I want to actually make use of them in different ways. So you would have seen the first sheet of paper I made into an envelope. Unfortunately, some of the process got cut off with my camera. That happens sometimes. I don't know how to stop it. But yeah, I literally took the A4 sheet and folded it almost into three. And I've sewed around the edges, and I also added some really pretty lace to the sort of flap, and that's about it. That's all I've done so far. I am going to decorate this. I'm not sure if I've done it already. Yes. So I decorated this piece of paper as well with some different ephemera. So I've got sort of a label piece, a tag, and a piece that says remember. And then while I've sewed around the edges of that envelope, I've sewed around each piece of ephemera as well, just to add another texture. And I love sewing in my journal. I do it quite often. I think everybody loves it. It's just really pretty. So yeah, I've used that whole A4 sheet to make an envelope, and I love this. I'm really glad I did this because it's still a big feature on my page, but it's actually useful, which, you know, it's really handy. So with another sheet, I decided to back a page with it and use it as a background to then add images on top of. So all I did was cut it down into size and paste it onto my page with some matte gel medium, and then I've stuck a collage over the top of Theo actually creating some of these artwork pieces. It's nice to use one as a background because obviously that's what he's doing in the pictures that I'm journaling about today. So I've got some more pictures to go on the other side, or so the right hand page under the envelope, and I've backed them with some really pretty decoupage paper. It's blue and pink, and I thought that really went with the blue tones of the pieces of artwork from Theo that I've used, so that worked really nicely. I've just stuck that straight onto the page, and then I wanted to add some sort of, I wanted to kind of make ephemera from the pieces that Theo created. So I've taken some of the paper and just used my heart punch to punch out some hearts, and then I thought it'd be really nice to use that decoupage paper in the same way, so I punched out some hearts from that as well. A tip for when you're punching something out that's thin, so tissue paper or decoupage paper, put some card behind it and you'll be able to punch it out, otherwise the punch won't go through it if it's too thin. So yeah, if you use just a bit of cardboard behind it, it should work lovely, and it did in this case. I've then alternated those hearts along the bottom and just stuck them, yeah, along the bottom of my page, and I think that looks really pretty. I was happy with that. So I created a journal card to go inside the envelope that I made from Theo's artwork, and one side of that journal card is a collage of Brett and Theo, and then I've backed that with some more of Theo's painted paper, just again to use as a background. I've added a label and a tab as well and sewed them into place before sticking that down, and that's created a really lovely journaling card, so I'm happy with that. That slides really nicely inside that envelope. So I'm going to further embellish these pages. I wanted to add a couple of labels just to talk about what Theo's doing, and yeah, just a few pieces just to fill it out a little bit. So I've got that piece that says dream. Again, it's in a lovely green, which goes with the colours that Theo has used to paint these papers with. I added a yellow label to the top of the collage of photos on the left hand side, and I'm just going to journal on that. I just write creative time with Theo is my favourite, especially when we're getting messy, because yeah, I love that. I love mess created while having fun, if that makes sense. So Theo will occasionally throw his food on the floor. That mess I do not like. But when we get messy together in a learning environment or we're just playing, I love that. I can always cope with that. I thought I'd struggle with that as a mum, but no, if he's messy, he's happy. So yeah, that makes me happy. And you will see in the video I have a little helper. So Theo was playing downstairs with his dad while I was filming this video, and he had to come up and see what mummy was doing. So I thought I'd get him to decide where these 3 squares of ephemera would go, and yeah, he picked for them to go down the envelope in this order. So of course I am sticking them down how he decided he wanted them, because yeah, it's his page really. So yeah, it was really cute that he wanted to come and help. He's in that stage at the moment where he wants to help with everything that you do, and it takes 10 times as long because he's helping, but I really appreciate the thoughtfulness behind it. He's 2.5 now, which is absolutely mad. I don't know where that time's gone. I want him to grow a little less quickly if I could have it my way. So I'm finishing off these pages with just some doodled hearts in a white pen on the left hand page and a small bit of washi on the right hand page, and I'm really happy with how that's looking. I'm going to do a bit more journaling on this second hand page. So you can see there the flap of the envelope is sticking on that side, so that I created sort of a tip in with that envelope, and I love that because it's got that lace on it as well. I love that added texture, it's really pretty. This was a bit tricky. I had some pressed flowers that Brett and Theo bought me, and I wanted to add them into my journal, and I've not found a good way to add them in yet. I think I'm going to get a laminator because it would be really handy with things that I do with Theo, but also I think it would be really pretty to actually laminate these flowers. I think that would look better, but for now I decided to stick them onto a pre-cut tag that I've got, and then use my thinnest vellum to sort of cover them up so that I could sew around them. I hope that's making sense. So I cut out a square of vellum a little bit bigger than the tag. I then sewed around where the tag was and then trimmed down the vellum, and you can see them, you can see what it is. Not overly well. I don't know if it would have been better if I used a white piece of card for the tag rather than a craft paper. I don't know if that would have made them more visible or not, but yeah, you can definitely see what they are. They're just not as visible as I would have hoped, but this is an interesting way to add dried flowers to your journal. If you're like me and keep lots of dried flowers and then aren't really sure what to do with them, this is a nice idea because they aren't going to fall apart or anything because they're enclosed in that vellum and a card. So I need to stick the hole reinforcement over the top. My hole puncher is too small, of course, so I had to sort of get my little scissors in there and trim it out so that the vellum wasn't showing through the reinforcements. But yeah, eventually I got there. I'm going to thread the holes through with some brown twine and add them to my page. So I've got my 2 tags stuck on my page, and then I'm going to use the leftover pieces of heart that I had from when I was punching the decoupage paper, and just glue a couple of those down, following on with the heart theme from the previous pages, and just as another embellishment. I already had them because I'd used them to help me with the decoupage paper, so I thought I may as well use them rather than throw them away. To make them stand out a bit more, I've outlined them in a white pen and one of them in a blue pen, which I also used to just write straight onto the page, flowers from my boys. And those are my pages all finished. So I hope you got some ideas of using some children's artwork in your journal. I'm going to probably do another one of these because I have more ideas of how I could use Theo's artwork, and I have mountains of it. So yeah, let me know if you'd be interested in that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you very much for being here. Bye everyone.